July 5th, 1888, East London. 1,400 teenage girls walked out of the Bryant and May match factory. They had no union, no legal protection, and according to the law of the British Empire, they had no right to strike. But they did it anyway. This wasn't just about matches. This was about phosphorus poisoning, about children losing their jawbones, about the birth of workers' rights as we know them today. This is the story of the match that lit a revolution. 1888. Britain ruled a quarter of the Earth's surface. The sun never set on the British Empire, but in the shadow of this glory, in the factories of East London's Bow District, a different story was being written in blood and bone. The Bryant and May factory produced 5 million matches every single day, matches that lit the lamps of empire, matches that started fires in kitchens from London to Bombay. But nobody asked what price was being paid, or who was paying it. White phosphorus, chemical formula P4. It glows in the dark. It ignites at just 30 degrees Celsius, and it was absolutely perfect for making matches. There was just one problem. It was slowly killing everyone who touched it. The condition was called Phossy jaw. White phosphorus vapor would seep into the workers' teeth and gums, causing their jawbones to literally rot from the inside. First came the toothache, then the swelling, then your face would begin to glow green in the dark. The phosphorus was decomposing your bones. Finally, the bone would die, and surgeons would have to remove entire sections of your face. The mortality rate was nearly 20%. And if you survived, you were disfigured for life. The youngest workers were just 13 years old, working 14-hour days, 6 days a week, for wages so low they could barely afford bread. Enter Annie Besant, socialist activist, feminist, and the woman who would ignite the fuse. Besant had heard rumors about conditions inside Bryant and May, but when she interviewed the workers, what she discovered was far worse than anyone imagined. On June 23, 1888, Besant published an article in her newspaper, The Link. The headline, "White Slavery in London." She exposed everything: the Phossy jaw, the starvation wages, the illegal fines that left girls in debt to the company, the 13-year-old children working with deadly poison. Bryant and May was furious. They demanded Besant retract the article. When she refused, they went to the factory floor and forced the workers to sign a statement saying they were treated well. But 3 girls refused to sign. The company fired them immediately. That was the match that lit the fire. July 5th, 1888. Word spread through the factory like wildfire. By lunch, 200 women had walked out. By evening, 1,400 workers had joined them. The strike had begun. This was unprecedented. Women didn't strike. Teenagers didn't organize. The poor didn't challenge factory owners who had the full backing of the law. But these girls had nothing left to lose. They'd already lost their health, their youth. Some had lost their faces. What more could be taken? The establishment was horrified. The Times called them ungrateful. Politicians said they were being manipulated by radical socialists. Bryant and May claimed they were model employers, but the match girls held firm. They had one demand: better wages, safer conditions, and an end to the illegal fine system. They called themselves the Match Girls Union, Britain's first union organized entirely by women. Something extraordinary was happening. The British public, who had been taught to despise unions and strikers, were opening their wallets. Donations flooded in from dock workers, servants, even middle-class housewives who suddenly saw their own daughters in these brave young women. The strike fund grew to over £400, nearly $60,000 in today's money. The match girls could survive without wages, but Bryant and May was losing £1,000 per day. After 13 days, the company realized they couldn't win. On July 18, 1888, Bryant and May capitulated. Every demand was met. The match girls had won. But the match girls' victory was just the beginning. Within weeks, other strikes broke out across London. Gas workers, dock workers, railway workers. If teenage girls working with poison could win, anyone could. By 1889, the Great Dock Strike brought London to a standstill. 100,000 workers demanded better pay. They won. The British labor movement had been born from a single flame in the bow match factory. Annie Besant went on to become a major figure in the Indian independence movement. She never forgot the match girls who had started it all. She died in 1933, age 85, having spent her life fighting for the powerless. The match girls themselves largely disappeared from history. Most returned to factory work. There were few other options for poor women in Victorian England. Some suffered from Phossy jaw for the rest of their lives. We don't know most of their names. History didn't consider them important enough to record. The Bryant and May factory closed in 1979. Today the site is luxury apartments. You can still see the old factory walls. But there's no mention of the girls who once worked there. No plaque. No memorial, just expensive flats for the wealthy. Every time you see a workplace safety regulation, think of the match girls. Every union contract, every minimum wage law, every protection against workplace poisoning. It all traces back to July 5th, 1888, when 1,400 teenage girls decided they'd had enough. The match girls proved something that changed the world. The people who do the work have the power. Not the factory owners, not the shareholders, not the empire, the workers, always the workers. Today, over 300 million people worldwide belong to labor unions. The 8-hour workday, weekends, paid leave, child labor laws, workplace safety standards. The entire architecture of workers' rights stands on the foundation built by those match girls in 1888. In Amazon warehouses today, in garment factories in Bangladesh, in gig economy apps that call workers contractors to avoid paying benefits. The same battle is still being fought. The match girls understood something we sometimes forget. Progress isn't inevitable. Rights aren't given. They're taken by ordinary people who refuse to accept that poison is the price of survival. The match that changed everything wasn't made of wood and phosphorus. It was made of courage, of teenage girls who had every reason to stay silent, but chose to speak, who had every reason to accept their fate, but chose to fight it, who had every reason to believe they were powerless, but proved everyone wrong. On July 5th, 1888, 1,400 match girls struck a light in the darkness, and we're still seeing by its glow